Hi everybody, this is Daniel Walthers at Winding Woods Ranch. I'm here to talk about how you're going to feed your corvid when you receive it. Now, some of you will receive them at a younger age than others. So some of you will soak your foods like I'm going to show you, and others may not. But this is how we do it, and this is what I recommend. We've got a couple different products over here. This one is actually a training treat. It's very high in protein, which we recommend you use just for training and for conditioning. This other one is actually called RC20, and it's like a pellet, and we use that with the babies all the way up to my breeders. It's 20% protein. We do know in raising these guys that 20 to 25% is ideal as far as the amount of protein. You can overdo it and give them too much protein and have problems, or you can not give them enough. So that's why I'm going to go over this. I'm going to show you how we mix it up and how I recommend you use it with your babies. We also show a Pedialyte, which is in a container like this. And one of the main things we want to do is make sure these guys are hydrated enough. So in the beginning, I mix Pedialyte with the pellet or with anything that we feed them. One of the foods that works really well, if you have it, would be like pinky mice or rats soaked in Pedialyte. And if your bird doesn't seem very strong or he needs a little boost, that's something that will really help these guys and boost them a little bit. And we use that in the beginning as well, from day 1 to even a couple weeks old. Then we try to get them more on the pellet like this. Another item that I want to point out that I've talked about in our other videos and so forth is the Benebac. And that's real important. We use that day 1 with these guys, and we use it every other day for 4 days to get a loading dose. And this is good bacteria. This will actually get all that good bacteria in the bird and help so that you don't have any problems. This you will do as a maintenance once a week, which is the correct way to use that. We're going to set that there. The other thing we have to keep in mind is our calcium. With these guys, they really need more calcium than a lot of birds. And what also will help is getting them outside. They get 6 to 8 hours outside, even as babies, and we'll put them in a smaller cage, and they're not even perching yet, and we'll stick their nest in the cage, and then they will get the sunlight they need, and we'll add the calcium. What I do is I buy the calcium, and you buy regular calcium, not with vitamin D. You don't want it with vitamin D, just regular calcium. And then what I do is grind it up into a powder, the tablets, and then I sprinkle this in my food when I feed them, and I use it every time I feed. Now we're going to pan over here, and I'm going to show you actually how we mix it up and what I use. This is actually Blue Ridge beef, and it's actually a meat. It's a beef, and it's 100% natural. This is a kitten grind, and the first time my kids saw this, they thought they actually ground up kittens, which they were pretty devastated when they saw that.
Who wouldn't be?
Right, Trace?
Who wouldn't be?
But anyway, because they're used to seeing stuff like quail and so forth. But anyway, it's kitten grind, so it's ground up real fine, which I like because the consistency is very nice. Most of your better pet stores will carry some type of natural beef that you can use to feed these guys. Now, quail works great if you can find it. Rabbit works great. And these are all around 20% protein, which works fantastic. We're going to pan over here. These are the pellets that I spoke of, that RC20. And here's the pellet just dry. And we feed this dry to the breeders and to the birds. And I can even use it as a treat when we're training. What I wanted to show is it's much different than, say, this treat, because these are very absorbent. After about 15 minutes, look at how it absorbs all this moisture. See how soft that is? I'm going to go ahead and just push on it so you can see. It's very, very soft, a lot of moisture, and we really want as much moisture as possible for these guys. So you can soak it in Pedialyte, and you can feed it just like this, and just spoon it in. And I'm going to show you too, even the pellet like this, when you push on it, see that? It's soft enough that it breaks down very easily, where dog food does not. And these guys, their metabolism is so fast that we want something that breaks down very quickly and their body can absorb it. So this is an awesome product. We do have this available for ravens and crows that you can feed them. and we will send a sample of this with your baby, so you've got it to feed them right away. And let me go ahead and I'm going to show you how I would mix this up. So I would recommend you use this and this pellet in the beginning. I'm going to just open this, and I'm going to put some in a dish. We'll put it in this metal dish right here. Now this is actually room temperature right now. If it were cold or came out of the freezer, you'd want to thaw it, and then see it just like that. It's nice consistency. It's cut up and ground up really nice. So then what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of my calcium, and you can put holes in the top here if you want, so you can sprinkle it. We'll just go ahead and sprinkle a little bit on. As far as how much, it doesn't really matter. If it's a little more than what they would actually use, their body would use, they'll just get rid of it.
Daniel, is that enough for one bird?
This actually would probably feed 2 birds. Okay. I usually am feeding multiple birds, so I'm just going to randomly mix up an amount here. But you'll want to figure out what your bird eats. And we're going to show you with the next segment. I mix in that calcium. Now, if you were doing the Benebac or the Benebac like this, you can also get this in a powder form at Tractor Supply, and you can mix that in your meat as well and use it in a powder form and hide everything in the meat. And that's what I like to do. I also from time to time will even mix this in with it, and that's what I'm going to do this time. Let me just put a little bit of this in there. And like I say, you want a lot of moisture, so what I really want you to do is add some moisture to this. You could add Pedialyte if it's room temperature, or take some warm water, and you want to add it right in, and you want it like a slurry. You want it so that you've got that liquid in there. See that? See the liquid? That's what I want. This is how I want to feed it to the babies. So when you grab some, and this spoon actually, this looks kind of funny, but this is a plastic spoon that I put in boiling water and I shaped it. I like to shape it so when I put it in their mouth, I can dump it and it kind of holds it. But these are just plastic spoons like this. They get dirty, you throw them away. And this one works fine just like that as well. As far as warming this up, I like it warm, and then eventually as they get older, you can just have it room temperature. But I like to take these stainless steel bowls. There's a bigger one here in the sink, and then the smaller one, I run the faucet and just set it in there. And what happens is this metal will draw that heat in, and it'll heat up your food very quickly. And so I'll just sit here and mix it, just like that. And then, once it's warm, then we're ready to feed. So, you just felt it and it feels nice and warm. If you had to go do something and you wanted this to sit for a minute, you can just let it float in there and warm up. I think that's about it as far as what we actually need to do to get this ready to feed. Now we're going to come back with this next segment, part 2, and show you some babies, and we'll go ahead and feed them for you and show you what kind of container I keep them in the beginning and so forth. So this is part 1, and please do look at part 2.